And then we can move on.
An event in mid-September for a healthcare workforce forum, and looking outside, it was all green grass, and people were still playing golf. So a couple months definitely changes, and I really appreciate with the snow that we've had the last couple of days that we have such a great turnout still, throughout the New England weather. So it's great to see everyone. My name is Scott Power. I'm the director of New Hampshire Scholars at the New Hampshire College and University Council. I want to welcome you to the Breakfast of Champions for New Hampshire Scholars. And to kick off this morning, we have 4 guests from Concord High School, who a little bit later you'll hear about some of the programs. One of our award winners today has mentored these students over the course of last year or so, and so they're going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to kick off this morning. Our flag is actually upstairs at the moment, so we will visualize in our mind our American flag. So please come up on stage. Thank you very much, and I'll do everyone a favor. I won't try to pronounce their last names, but Fred, Frank, O'Day, and Elijah, thank you very much. You guys did a great job. We appreciate it. And now to kick off this morning, I will ask Dr. Michelle Perkins, president of New England College, to come to provide welcome remarks. She's also our board chair for the New Hampshire College and University Council. So without further ado, Dr. Perkins.
Thank you, Scott. Good morning, everybody. It's indeed an honor to be here this morning and to be invited to provide the opening remarks. So welcome, everyone, to the New Hampshire Scholars Breakfast of Champions. As Scott mentioned, I'm Michelle Perkins, president of New England College and board chair of the New Hampshire College and University Council. And we are very happy to be hosting this breakfast for the 8th consecutive year. I want to thank a bunch of people here this morning. First, I want to thank Commissioner Frank Edlook and the New Hampshire Department of Education for his and their leadership and support of this statewide project. A major source of funding for this project comes from the Department of Education, and we very much appreciate that. We also look for sponsors to help the initiative, and on behalf of New Hampshire Scholars, I want to thank our sponsors who have already committed their support for 2020. Unitil is our premier event sponsor for today, and its Vice President of Customer Operations, Mark Lambert, is here. Other program sponsors include Comcast, Northeast Delta Dental, its CEO, Tom Raffigan, is here with us today. Fidelity Investments, both Joe Murray and Christina Cuzzi are here. Eversource Energy, several of their representatives are here. New Hampshire Motor Speedway, Dartmouth Hitchcock, William Landry, and Marianne Aldrich are here, and of course, the New Hampshire College and University Council, and the president, Dr. Debbie Skeery, is here today. I want to personally welcome a few New Hampshire legislators here this morning. From Senator Jean Shaheen's office, Chris Scott. From Senator Maggie Hassan's office, Carrie Holmes. From the office of Congresswoman Ann McLean Custer, Amy Slattery. We're also pleased to have several state representatives here this morning. So I think that's everyone, and I apologize if I missed anyone, but it's wonderful to see such great support for this program. I'd also like to welcome my college presidents here this morning. Some of them you'll hear from this morning. Dr. Susan Hurd, president of Manchester Community College, Dr. Larissa Baya, president, Lakes Region Community College, and Silver Puey's Special Assistant to the President, MCPHS University, and of course, our newly appointed President of NHCUC, Dr. Debbie Skiri. New Hampshire Scholars is one of the signature programs of the NHCUC, and this is an initiative in which higher education sees tremendous value. Many of you already know this, but New Hampshire Scholars began in 2007, and it encourages students to enroll in a rigorous core curriculum in high school. This set of courses meet the requirements for college admissions and provides students with the educational foundation that employers seek. The 2020 class will be the 14th class to graduate as New Hampshire Scholars, and with 85 active high schools, we're making a huge impact across the state. We will once again graduate over 5,000 New Hampshire Scholars this spring. And one of our goals is to keep these highly accomplished students here in New Hampshire. And personally, I would love for many of them to enroll at New England College in either our Manchester campus of the Institute of Art and Design, but of course we welcome them and encourage them to enroll in the other NHCUC member institutions as well. Preparing today's students is one of the most important things we can do, and this program better prepares students for their next step. This morning we will celebrate the terrific work you are all doing. Developing business education partnerships is critical to student success as well at both the K-12 and higher education level, and we see this firsthand with our students at New England College. Whether they come to us already having been mentored by business leaders or building relationships with the business community once they get to our campus, the New Hampshire Scholars Program impacts their ability to succeed. So again, thank you all for joining us this morning, and it is now my pleasure to welcome an alumna of the University of New Hampshire. She grew up in the Granite State and is now raising her own family here in Manchester. She is the first woman ever to be elected mayor of the city of Manchester, and I am honored to introduce her. Please welcome Mayor Joyce Craig.
Pleasure to be here with all of you this morning, and I'm excited to celebrate the tremendous partnerships we're developing in Manchester and throughout the state. And the New Hampshire Scholars Program plays a critical role by connecting our business leaders with our students. One of the biggest challenges that I hear from companies is attracting and retaining employees. And the New Hampshire Scholars Program helps companies by developing highly educated pipeline with workforce-ready skills. As mayor, and also a parent with children who have participated in the New Hampshire Scholars Program, I've seen firsthand the positive impact this program has on our students. It's a great avenue to connect our schools with community leaders, and we're fortunate to work with the New Hampshire College and University Council on the Scholars Program, as well as our Gear Up program, which is allowing us to provide our 7th and 8th grade students with targeted programming to help them become college and career ready. Because of programs like Gear Up and the New Hampshire Scholars Program, our students will graduate better prepared for life after high school. And this is made possible through partnerships of many of you in this room. I want to thank all of you for the work that you're doing on behalf of our students throughout the state. Enjoy your day today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Perkins, and thank you, Mayor Craig. Really appreciate both of you being here. I also want to acknowledge some of our New Hampshire Scholars Board members that are here today. Mark Lambert, Tom Raffio, Susan Heward, Debbie Skiri, Christina Cuzzi, Terry Wolf, Brennan Barnard, David Cuzzi, Holly Beaton, and Amanda Grapponi-Osmer. I think that's all of our board members that are here. If I missed anyone, I apologize. So rather than talk about the history of the program this morning, I'd like to take a few minutes to outline some of our challenges and some of the strategies that we're working on as they relate to college readiness and workforce development. Thanks to our friends at Reaching Higher New Hampshire, I will highlight some of the New Hampshire data points that we're working on. have a few slides available. So one of the demographics that you can see here, there's just less students in New Hampshire than there were 10 years ago. So you can see the number of high school students. We have less students here in the state to prepare. The middle school demographics aren't much better. They're a little bit better, but as you can see from those slides, we have, we're a drop of 14% over the last 10 years. So that means that there's less students in the pipeline, not only for our colleges, but also for the New Hampshire's workforce. Our college-going rate in New Hampshire is around 54%, depending on how you crunch the numbers. Nationally, it's 67%. So the good news is New Hampshire Scholars College enrollment is nearly 95%. So we know that students are engaged in the New Hampshire Scholars core curriculum. They're going to college, they're successful, they're being retained at the colleges and universities. So that's the good thing. And last year we recognized 44% of high school seniors in our participating high schools. So a number of years ago, we were at 25%, so we've really increased the number of students participating in the New Hampshire College program within our high schools, so that's a good thing. So that's a good news, but we also need to start earlier and earlier. So as you can see, looking at the course requirements that you have in your packet, Algebra 1 is one of the 4 maths needed. It's a gateway course for students in 8th and 9th grade. So as you can see from this slide, 60% of New Hampshire middle schools offer Algebra 1. I'd love to see that number increase, but the number I really want to impact is the 24%. Only 24% of 8th graders are enrolled in Algebra 1. We know that students taking Algebra 1 in middle school are more likely to enroll in more math and lab sciences at the back end of their high school career. It simply opens up opportunities for them their junior and senior year. So my point is, with less students in the pipeline, we really need to prepare each and every one of them. And I want to increase the number of students completing New Hampshire Scholars, so more and more students graduate high school prepared for college and career. And as you can see on here, I will be challenging all of our schools to start implementation and awareness earlier and earlier, beginning in 6th and 7th grade, and then ramping up efforts in 9th and 10th grade to ensure students understand the benefits and incentives. Together, I know we can make a difference across the state, even more impactful than we already are doing, and I look forward to working with all of you to address these challenges. So, to share some insight on the current work that's being done, I'd like to introduce Mark Lambert, our Vice President of Customer Operations at Unitil. And Mark will facilitate a panel presentation this morning to go a little bit more in depth on some of the strategies that our panelists at their organizations and institutions are working on. So without further ado, please welcome Mark Lambert and this morning's panelists.
Thank you, Scott. Well, our panelists get situated. Did everyone survive the storm? I thought yesterday was the worst travel day like ever. Both of the storms. Yeah, there was 2 of them, and there's probably one person who hadn't survived the storm, and that's Joe Murray. Joe Murray with Fidelity Investments is stuck in a snowbank this morning. So the great Christina Cuzzy has graciously from Fidelity substituted for Joe, which is really nice. So Christina was just madly preparing there. So thank you, Christina. But again, my name is Mark Lambert. I'm the Vice President of Customer Operations for Unitil. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Unitil, we're an electric and natural gas utility supplying electricity and natural gas to about 200,000 customers here in New Hampshire, Maine, and in Massachusetts as well. We're headquartered here in New Hampshire. We have roughly 500 employees, for our 200,000 customers, and they're spread throughout, but we're headquartered in Hampton. We have our customer operations office where I'm mostly stationed in Concord. So we're a proud employer here, certainly in New Hampshire, and I'm also a proud board member, as Scott said, of Hampshire Scholars. It was such a nice partnership, I thought, for me to be a part of the New Hampshire Scholars Board because of we are closely aligned with our STEM focus, I think, on education. When you think of the utility, I think what you think of mostly is an operations person out on the poles, or engineers trying to design that system or that gas system that's underground. But it's much more than that now, and I think it's because today's utility will most likely not look like tomorrow's utility of the future. It should look a lot different. As we look and try to, and how we interact with our retail companies, when we're ordering packages on Amazon, and there's little things in the background, and some people don't like this, artificial intelligence that are closely looking at what you just researched or what you just searched in your search engine, and suddenly something pops up that you may be interested in for Christmas. This is called AI, and utilities are even evaluating that on how customers want to engage with their usage profiles, how they want to use their electricity or their natural gas, what rates they may want to pay depending upon the time of the day that they're using it, and by what sources do they want their power generated from? Renewable sources, traditional fossil fuels, a combination of the two. So tomorrow's utility of the future, I think, is going to be different. And when we look at those skills, we are looking at not only the engineer, the operator, but it's IT folks, it's accounting, finance, regulatory, being creative in those areas. So it's a good partnership for us as we move forward. But without further ado, today's panel is going to focus on those education and business partnerships that can help with student readiness and student success, more importantly, as they enter the workforce. So what I'd like to do is I'll introduce our panelists. I'll ask a series of questions to each of the panelists. And then I'd like the audience to just think of, we'll have probably about 10 minutes or so. I know we're getting a little bit late start, but we'll probably have 10 minutes to engage the audience. So any questions that you may have, we have some time for our great panelists. So without further ado, Christina Cuzzy is our Senior Manager of Community Relations for Fidelity. Thank you, Christina. Anna Miner is our VP of Administrations and Financial Aid at Colby Sawyer. Thank you, Anna. Frank Edelblut is our Commissioner of the Department of Education. And Anna Zane is our Apprenticeship Grant Manager at the Community College System of New Hampshire. So, as we talk about this, I think it's, not only what the students are taking for classes, but it's the business partnerships that certainly can help those students applying some of those schoolroom learnings into more real-life situations. And we talked about those 21st century skills that every business is looking for. So let me start with you, Commissioner, if I could. You've spent a lot of time talking about creating out-of-school learning opportunities for students. Why is this important, and how does it help our students?
Great, so am I on? There we go. So thank you, Mark, for that question, and thank you, Scott and NACUC for hosting this event. I think it's a great event that really does tie together some of the themes that we're talking about here in terms of working together, collaborating. I'm sitting next to the community college system here, and I can tell you that in New Hampshire, there is a tremendous amount of coordination and collaboration and trying to explore ways to work together, particularly among kind of the K-12 system, as well as the community college and even the university system and NACUC partners, throughout the state to create really, we're after pathways for students to be able to be successful. And we at the department and really working with our partners are trying to come up with creative ways to engage students, because we all know that students, when they're engaged in their education, they're going to have better outcomes. Right? They retain the information they learn, they advance more effectively because of the interest that they have in the various subjects. And so we've got all kinds of things we're working on. I'm thinking of the New Hampshire Career Academy, which is a program that we have been working on with the community college that really helps to engage students in some of our trade programs, and it helps them advance through those trade programs and graduate with, after 13 years, with an associate's degree, an industry recognized credential. Thank you, my industry partners out there. You know, their high school diploma and a job interview here in New Hampshire, so we can keep them in the state. We have recently been working on a grant for charter schools, a $46 million grant. And you know, for my business partners in the room, I think of, if you want to think about a way to look at this funding, think about this as basically an education incubator, right? An opportunity to really create opportunities for students across New Hampshire, and really for all students, to find innovative ways for them to get to good pathways. And then really, you know, the program that I think connects our students to businesses the most, and I saw a number of our extended learning coordinators in the room today, our ELO opportunities. So extended learning opportunities are really an opportunity for our students to leave school and learn in your businesses across the state. So I thank you for that partnership. And when we put students in these kind of authentic learning experiences, again, it's a much deeper, a much richer experience. And so we love the fact that, you know, they get that academic and that content knowledge, but it does something else as well for our students, particularly for our students who come from economically disadvantaged homes. It really pushes out their social capital. It creates a network for them so they have the ability to connect in the community and find, you know, really authentic and good pathways for their future lives here in the state as they kind of grow up in the state, and hopefully they stay in the state and they continue to invest in our state. So we've got a lot of different things going on here.
Outstanding. No, Frank, thank you for your leadership. I think for anyone who knows Frank, he's one of those guys that you present him with a problem, he's just going to look to solve the problem, and I thank you for your leadership there. So thank you for that answer, Frank. And you know, later we're going to hear from, I think, some other terrific examples from business education partnerships in our award portion of our segment this morning. And some of these partnerships are from large, from small, and even some small mom and pop businesses as well. Christina, let me turn this to you if I could. You know, what is a large employer like Fidelity capable of doing in terms of connecting with New Hampshire students?
Well, thank you. Thanks for having us today. And we are in Merrimack, a campus of over 5,000 people, and we have an extensive team dedicated to working with colleges, not just in New Hampshire, but across the country, to get college students here on our campus. Ideally, we work with the local universities and colleges, but it'd be great if we bring some in from other states. We have a very extensive internship program. Just in New Hampshire, over the course of the summer, we have about 175 interns, college interns, that come and get real work experience. It's not just show up to work and sit on your computer. They're working. They have real projects. They have capstones. They go through other programming with the university relations teams, where it's interview skills, real life skills. They're working with our team to get connected in the community. So over the summer, over the 10 weeks or so, they feel real connected to Fidelity, and we hope that they will come back the next summer and then they'll apply for a job. We also help them apply for jobs. So whether they are a New Hampshire resident or a resident of another state, we help them get connected to our open recs and hopefully get a job as soon as they graduate. A lot of our interns are already applying for next summer, another internship. They also already have secured jobs. Our seniors have already secured jobs with Fidelity once they graduate. So they go through a rigorous program, which is really great. We also have beefed up our, even technology with these interns. Is how do we keep them in New Hampshire? How do we keep them working at Fidelity here and engaged in the state? And some of it is technology. Can we give them the latest and greatest laptop? With fingerprinting and all these different cool gadgets, but how do we really get them engaged in the state? And that's where our team really works. And we connect with nonprofits and other organizations.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, I think trying to keep our students here in the state is a huge challenge. I've got 2 daughters, and one of which stayed in the state, one of them's down in Boston, so she's really not our favorite. No, I'm just kidding. She would kill me, she'd be so embarrassed if she heard me say that. But no, it's so difficult to keep them here in the state. There's so many opportunities in Massachusetts, but as we talk about here with organizations like Fidelity that are certainly reaching out and teaching those valuable skills with you know, just to be in the workforce is just so valuable, and I think it's a great way to get our kids to stay here. It's not just about, I don't think it's just about, you know, those extra, you know, what you're learning on the job, but I think it's about, and I think we all know this as employers, how can a student, how can an applicant, how can a worker social? Can they be social in the workforce? How do they communicate within the workforce? And that is often quite noticed and valued, I think, and certainly is at Unitil. But you know, so businesses are looking for highly qualified workers. And this is true in all sectors, you know, with Fidelity, with utilities, with manufacturing, with education, with sciences, you name it. And Dartmouth Hitchcock and Colby Sawyer have a partnership that ensures that they have qualified workers always in the pipeline. So for Anna, I have a 2-part question for you. What has been the relationship between Colby Sawyer and Dartmouth Hitchcock Health first? And how has Colby Sawyer's partnership with Dartmouth created opportunities for New Hampshire students and in turn for the workforce?
Thank you, Mark. So Colby Sawyer is located in New London, New Hampshire. We have just about 1,000 students. Right about 39% of our students hail from New Hampshire, and a good majority of them come to Colby Sawyer for a number of our programs, particularly because of the Dartmouth Hitchcock partnership. Our partnership with Dartmouth spans nearly 40 years at this point. Colby Sawyer is Dartmouth Hitchcock's nursing school. Our students begin rotations at Dartmouth Hitchcock in their sophomore year, so they are our clinical partner for those internships, rotations. As a result, those students have the opportunity to complete summer externships and get priority placement for their senior practicum, which is a wonderful opportunity for them. Our students actually, all of our graduating nursing students get offers to stay at Dartmouth Hitchcock, so 100% placement rate. About 80% actually take that option, so we do want to keep 100% in state. I certainly understand that, and so does Dartmouth Hitchcock. Currently, nearly 200 Colby Sawyer alums are employed at Dartmouth Hitchcock as a result, as nurses, which is wonderful. But the partnership is growing. It's not limited to nursing. It has been the focus for a number of years. We do have a number of opportunities for non-nursing students as well. And as a result of the healthcare worker shortage in New Hampshire, we're looking to expand our partnership with Dartmouth. It's mutually beneficial. Students are looking for careers in healthcare and in STEM. Currently, New Hampshire is experiencing an aging population, but also an aging workforce. And in the next 10 years, nearly 30% of the healthcare workforce will be retiring. And so we're answering that call by looking at the programs that will help New Hampshire's workforce, that will benefit our partner, DHH, and that are of interest to students in the state, as well as out of state. So through this enhanced partnership, we are currently launching a number of new programs, including focus on addiction studies. As we know, the opioid crisis has hit New Hampshire very hard. I see in the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of essays that I read students impacted by the opioid crisis, as well as mental health issues. We are launching a program in social work, in mental health counseling, in medical lab sciences, and in healthcare administration. And in addition, we're increasing the number of nurses that will be graduating every year to support Dartmouth Hitchcock and the workforce.
Wow, outstanding, outstanding. Thank you, Anna. Let's dig a little bit deeper on ways businesses and communities can serve as a support system for our schools and our students. And whether we're talking about a high school student living in an affluent town or one that may have fewer resources, the bottom line is business partnerships can help supplement what students are learning in the classroom. So for Emily, the community college system of New Hampshire has a registered apprenticeship program. How are you connecting college programming with employers and in turn helping develop the state's workforce?
Sure. So for those of you that are not familiar with the community college system, we are a system of 7 community colleges. We have locations across the state that are really focused, in addition to our traditional academic and certificate programs, on providing training and workforce development to meet the needs of businesses throughout the state of New Hampshire. Many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with the 65 by 25 initiative here in New Hampshire, which was really spearheaded initially by the community college system. And that's a goal for New Hampshire that really focuses on ensuring that our state has the skilled workforce that we need to be successful moving forward. So 65 by 25 says basically that 65% of New Hampshire's working population needs to have some sort of post-secondary credential or certification by the year 2025 in order for New Hampshire's economy to continue to be successful and to continue to grow. So one of the community college system's sort of emerging strategies for supporting the 65 by 25 goal is our registered apprenticeship program. And this program was initiated back in 2016 when the community college system received a grant from the U.S. Department of Labor to help fund this effort. And we are really focused on two things. One is connecting employers across the state with our community colleges to help them develop apprenticeship programs as a way to respond to their workforce needs, but also focusing on connecting students and job seekers in our community to apprenticeship as a way for them to have access to education and career pathways. So we focus primarily in what we call non-traditional industries: healthcare, manufacturing, IT, hospitality, etc. Those industries that traditionally have not used the model of registered apprenticeship like some of the traditional trades have as a way to retain skilled workers, but it's really still that same apprenticeship model that we're all familiar with. It includes on-the-job training, hands-on relevant training at the work site where the apprentice is being paid and trained in a particular job, and then that's also supplemented by education through one of our community colleges. So we have about 35 employers across the state, businesses like Catholic Medical Center, Great New Hampshire Restaurants, Stonyfield Farm, who have worked with us and with our community colleges to develop apprenticeship programs as a way to respond to their workforce needs, to ensure that they have a skilled pipeline of employees coming into the company that they're able to upskill and retain long term. But we're also really focused on connecting students in our community and job seekers to these apprenticeship opportunities as well, which is not only providing them with really relevant hands-on experience in a career and in a high-demand field, but it's also giving them access to post-secondary education and the opportunity to receive college credit through one of our community colleges as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Emily. We certainly occasionally hear from businesses that they would like to get involved with their schools. They want to get in contact with their schools and partner with them. And we conversely hear that schools would love to get involved with their businesses, but they just don't know who to call. For educators, I think here today, think about your local chamber of commerce. Think about the Business Industry Association, the BIA, which is a statewide chamber. I know Dave Gervais is here. I see Dave out there in the audience, and you probably can't align yourself with more businesses than the BIA or your local chambers have partnerships with. So I'd encourage you there. They're great resources. Go to a local Rotary Club meeting. Businesses are there at every one of their breakfasts. So there are resources available to help you make those connections. I encourage you to certainly take some time to explore some of those. But with that kind of concludes our Q&A. I would love to turn it over to the audience. I know we have a microphone that's going to be passed around. Any questions you have for our great panelists? Yes.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for your time. My name's Jorge. I'm the Executive Director at Pace Career Academy. We're in Pembroke. Looking at the number of students that the state is losing, I think it was 14%. I just put to the panel about how we're thinking about expanding the pool of students that are here those students who traditionally do not go out for those 2 years, and addressing some of those barriers that those young people in that population face, for example, transportation, or even having to be able to pay some bills at home, and will allow them to access some of those opportunities. My school, for example, is 70% free and reduced lunch, so we are working with that population. Thank you.
Thank you. Frank, I've got it away. Sure.
Am I on? Yeah. So Jorge, great question. And really, the question that we need to be asking, because when we look at that decline in terms of the numbers of students, that isn't projected to change. We're going to continue to see a decline of probably about 50,000 students over the next 12 to 15 years. So the numbers are going to continue to come down. And when you see such a significant demographic shift associated in those numbers, it really calls us to task to look carefully at the instructional model and infrastructure that we have put in place in order to educate these students. And that's just dealing with the absolute decline in numbers. And when I talk about that, what I mean is, over time, what we've seen is a lot of districts have consolidated, and through consolidation, they've gained some efficiencies. But at a certain, density in terms of student population, you won't be able to consolidate your way out of this, because you can't put a kid on a bus for 2 hours just to get to school, right? The disbursement will be so thin. So we really need to be thinking creatively about how we put it together. And as we do that, I think we can address some of the second part of your question, Jorge, in terms of, so as we do that, we've got a demographic of population that has difficulty accessing some of these opportunities that we create. Those barriers, practically, as you pointed out, are transportation. So how do we enable students to get from, if they're in a school environment, to an ELO or a work-based environment so that they can engage in that? The traditional approach to do that is, we maybe have a bus or something that's, transporting students around. But we have to think more broadly about our infrastructure and how we do that. And it could be we work with Uber, right, in order to get kids from one environment to another one. It could be, I know, at the Department of Education within vocational rehabilitation. We have an entire network of vans that we run in the state to help individuals with disability get from, point A, maybe at their home, to a doctor's appointment. And are we able to leverage some of that infrastructure into other domains to be able to solve some of these problems? But in order to do that, the theme that we're talking about here today is the collaboration among the K-12 system, with the higher post-secondary system, with the business community. And it's going to be that collaboration where we're all bringing resources to the table to solve it. We don't isolate these problems in a system and say, well, it's the school's problem to figure out how to get these kids to something. It's all of our problems, so we may as well all be weighing in on that.
No, great answer. Any of the other panelists? Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to your question about, reducing barriers that students may face. I think, the beauty of something like an apprenticeship as opposed to a traditional internship or job shadow or other work-based learning experience is that apprentices are actually hired by the business. They are paid a wage from day one, and their employer, as part of their apprenticeship, is sponsoring their education, through a community college or whatever that may be. So it's, I think, a lot of a sort of easier entrance for many students than other traditional education or career opportunities, because it doesn't require them to come to the table already having completed a degree, already having years of experience. They can come sort of at a very ground level and work their way up in the field, but they also know that, through that sort of earn and learn model, where they're earning wages, they're learning a new skill, that they're going to have access to affordable education and a career that might have otherwise been out of reach for them. And then lastly, one of the focuses of our program is really on ensuring that through support services and connection to other programs in the state that help to provide job training, that we're really reducing any sort of barrier that someone might come with that's going to prevent them from being successful in a program like that.
Excellent. Yes, another question. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. This is for Commissioner Wood. Can you expound on your Learn Anywhere initiative and how some of the businesses can get involved with the high schools to get the non-traditional credits for their students for basically life learning?
Yeah, so it's actually, oh, there we go. Learn Everywhere. It's actually, so it's Learn Everywhere, but I'm happy to learn anywhere as well, because that would be great. Just think of that as really a program that exists in our high schools already, which is extended learning opportunities on steroids. Really, for many years, we have been trying to create extended learning opportunities and make those opportunities available to students ubiquitously across the state. And so this is an opportunity to really try and expand that and put it on steroids and really make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to do those, to experience those kinds of learning experiences because of the advantages that we've talked about today in terms of getting kids into different contexts to be able to engage and to be able to learn. In terms of the businesses, engaging them, I would encourage you, I'm going to ask some folks to do something for me today. Can everybody who's an ELO coordinator in the room, I know there's a few that I've seen out there, can you just raise your hands? High, really high, right, okay. And so those of you who are businesses in the room, make note of who these folks are and go talk to one of them today because they can connect you. They can, connect those dots between student and work-based learning opportunity.
Hi, I'm Matt Mattern, and I'm running for president. I wanted to know what role does the federal government have in this, and how can they help? I heard from Emily that there were a grant from the Department of Labor. Are there any other programs that you would be looking for to get some help from the federal government?
I'm from the federal government and I'm here to help. So yeah, maybe these guys would be better to maybe answer that. Really what we have to do is what I think from a top-down perspective, we have to recognize that individual states have unique characteristics and unique populations and problems that they are trying to solve. And so if I can encourage anyone at the federal level, it's as programs are designed to try and keep in mind that the states are probably better adept at crafting the local solution than, the policies for California probably are not going to fit well in New Hampshire. Tom?
So I'm going to ask a real practical question. So it kind of builds, Mark, on what you pointed out in Frank, which is you need businesses and educators to collaborate and cooperate. I'm the chair of this coalition where we have businesses and educators together, and if I've heard it once, I've heard it a million times. Well, businesses, we don't know who to contact at the school, and I realize you raise your hand, but not every school now has a ELL coordinator, and then businesses, despite the great economy, everybody's doing more with less, so the type of interface that you have maybe on the corner of your desk as opposed to like a person in HR that's totally facilitating the interface with either high schools or colleges. And similarly, like I said, not every school has an ELL coordinator, so there may be a part-time person or a full-time teacher that's doing it on the corner of her or his desk. So how do we facilitate that? Because obviously, Fidelity, the companies we mentioned are big companies that probably have additional staff, but obviously employers, the growth in this state is going to be through small employers, and they candidly don't have the time. Again, I've heard it once, I've heard it a million times. I'd love to get involved in my local high school, but the principal doesn't call back or whatever. So we I know we have ELL coordinators, but what is an organic answer to that type of interface, recognizing that both schools and businesses are doing more with less, and while we need these internships and apprenticeships, there isn't necessarily one person to focus on it. So it's kind of your question, Mark, too. So.
No, it's good. You have anything, Christina, or Andy, Frank, or?
I think the business.
Yeah.
That's a good question. We have worked with districts. We've actually found most success working with the actual district level, the administration, and going from the top down there, because we socialize it across the board and kind of get buy-in. We get buy-in from everyone across a district. And an example of what we've done in Manchester is we started with Mayor Craig's office and the superintendent's office is talk about what we want to do there and then bring it back down to the school level. May work because we are larger, we have more staff dedicated to this, whether it's our team or university relations, but it's a different method we've taken.
All right. Oh, we've got one more question.
Not so much a question, but a follow-up to the question previously. So with the ELO network, we're trying to build regional hubs. So you're absolutely correct that not every single high school in the state has an ELO coordinator, but every single high school is connected to a regional network of ELO coordinators. So I would encourage you to locate the regional chairpersons in those communities, in those regions, so that they can connect you with that school, or at least provide you with a framework to support ELO or work-based learning activities that you are looking to connect to schools with.
Oh, that's a great comment. Yeah, I think that is such a challenge for businesses and educators is how do they partner? How do they partner together? How do they get in touch with each other has always been this void. I think Tom points that out as well.
Morning, my name is Dan Lanio, and I just sold a restaurant bar and became one of those senior citizens that is aging in New Hampshire. But I also put my mother in a nursing home about 3 months ago, and I visit daily. And a young nurse, a young RCA, LPN, is 40 years old. So I'm hearing we're getting older and there's less people in the pipe. So what is the answer the youth people foresee that we're going to be able to get more bodies to come to New Hampshire? Because there's no lack of people going to restaurant bars. Hey, I need stuff for cheerleading, sports, cheerleading. But the 20 to 40 years old, where are these people going to come from? Do you have an answer?
Would like to take that.
A little bit.
As I mentioned, we get about 39% of our students from New Hampshire, so about 87% come from New England. So we're continually recruiting students to come into state and give them compelling opportunities and experiences. At Colby Sawyer, we actually require all of our students to complete internships so they get that practical real-world experience, and over 50% of those students receive full-time job offers from those internship employers and stay in those areas. So we're working really hard to try to give students real experience. We're trying to attract them to the college, attract them to New Hampshire, give them real world opportunities while they're college students, but also make sure those opportunities result in full-time employment as well. So we're hoping to keep as many of our students in state once they complete at Colby Sawyer.
If this is a problem in Florida, I have family in Florida that said the same thing. Is the answer possibly J1 students from Europe that love the medical field when they come to America?
We have a smaller population of international students. It's definitely challenging getting international students to New London, New Hampshire, I will say that. But we do typically bring in anywhere from 5 to 10 students a year from overseas. It certainly has its challenges as well, given where we are, but we absolutely are open to international students.
Thank you.
I think the other thing too that we're focused on is, less so about trying to bring people into the state, but identifying people that are here in New Hampshire that are either in the workforce but are in a low-skill, low-wage job and maybe have an opportunity or would like an opportunity to move into a skilled field like nursing, and maybe just have some barriers to being able to do that. But also the people in our community who are unemployed. It is certainly a very small population of people, but we found success through other apprenticeship programs that we've developed in fields like healthcare for occupations like nursing assistants and medical assistants, that there are people in our communities who want to pursue careers in those fields but just don't have the resources to sort of take the traditional path, which would mean going back to school and getting a certificate or a 2-year degree, and helping to connect them to those job opportunities through apprenticeship programs.
All right, excellent. And with that, I think we'll have to wrap it up. Well, let's hear for our great panelists. Certainly great work. And to lead in the next segment of this morning, it's my honor to introduce Dr. Susan Hewitt and David Cuzzy. Both serve on the New Hampshire Scholars Board of Directors like myself. Dr. Hewitt is the president of Manchester Community College, and David is the president of Prospect Hill Strategy. So please help me welcome both Susan and David.
Okay, you've had a great breakfast and you've been sitting there quiet entirely too long. So Dave and I are the official audience participation segment. One of the benefits to coming to an event like this is the variety of people who are in the room. We have educators, we have students, we have legislators, we have business people. So we don't want to miss the opportunity of giving you a chance to actually talk with one another and come up with some ideas. And in fact, as Mark mentioned, both Dave and I are members of the New Hampshire Scholars Board, and we're always interested to hear what it is you have to suggest to us so that we can improve the program. So, here's your assignment. There are 2 questions. We want you to choose one. We want you to chat with the people at your table, or if you'd like to meet some new folks, wander to another table, and see what you can come up with in the next, literally, few minutes. So we're just going over the questions. The first one, name 3 ideas for how to retain our talent and keep young people in New Hampshire to help develop a homegrown skilled workforce. Or, name 3 areas in which New Hampshire education is effectively addressing workforce needs, and how can we expand these opportunities? So we need one brave person to take notes at your table because there will be a quiz. Dave is going to be the quiz master and ask several of you to share your ideas with us. So would you take the next, what have we got, Dave? 10 minutes? 10 minutes to come up with these ideas. So please chat with the folks at your table. Thanks so much.
Reporting here. Again, my name is Dave Cuzzy. I'm president of Prospect Hill Strategies. Happy to help facilitate the second half of this. So what we'll do, if everyone could just wrap up their chats. I know there's a good conversation going on. Maybe if the secretary of each table, that sounds very official, can get ready to do the reports. And rather than look for volunteers, I think I'll just maybe go from one side of the room to the other or alternate. So everyone, but actually, why don't we, we'll start right here with, right at the head table with Tom Raffio from Northeast Delta Dental.
Well, I was blessed, son, good. I was blessed with this fabulous table with these ideas. But we took the first question, identified 2 to 3 strategies to retain our talent. And it's really sort of a by strategy. The first strategy is to identify our own young talent in the state of New Hampshire. So we have ideas like company-wide sponsorships of scholarships, internships, some of the things you've heard about, as well as like a corporate loan forgiveness program. If you end up staying in New Hampshire, your loan for your schooling will be forgiven. So that was sort of the first macro strategy of retaining the great people that we have in the state of New Hampshire. But secondarily, Michelle had mentioned that in order to tackle the reduced enrollment and everything else, we're going to actually have to also do in migration and encourage colleges and universities to do what Michelle is doing, recruiting all across the United States and the world to get young people to come to New Hampshire, recruit them, go to their state, tell them that New Hampshire is a great state, but also do things like scholarships and so forth if they come to a New Hampshire college. So it's really a two-part strategy: retaining what we have through some of the programs that you heard from Fidelity and and what you heard with regard to Colby Sawyer, but also going outside of New Hampshire and bringing in the young talent.
Great.
Right,
Thanks,
group,
Tom.
that good?
All right, why don't we go back here to this table? Got a nice young folks and older folks. Curious to hear.
I'm okay. We thought what's it called? Like stronger financial aid and other stuff like we have really like high property taxes, so they should lower those for people who stay here, and we should have stronger communities. So like we have Ms. D as our what's it called teacher, and we would always go back to her even if we're not in ELL anymore to like help us, because I know a lot of people who go to college would always come back to Ms. D to ask her for help and like for her to help her with stuff. We'd always see visitors in her office from like the past years. So yeah, that's the stuff that we have. And we what's it called? The more job opportunities like internships and what's it called? The reduced cost of colleges.
That's great. Thank you. All right, we'll go over to this side. How about the table all the way over in the corner by the fireplace?
Here we are a table of educators, so you're going to get our point of view. So some of us are talking about business debt forgiveness and also allowing our loans to be forgiven, because we have a lot of those, and as teachers we don't make that much money. Affordable in-state tuition, so finding new sources to be able to give colleges and subsidies to be able to have a little cheaper tuition in New Hampshire. It is cheaper for our students to go to Maine or Massachusetts than to go to school here. And also trying to keep people from who are coming to this state to keep voting rights for out-of-state students, because right now it is a bill that's going through to prevent that. And there's a disconnect between housing costs and the price of college and the price of everything. Things are going up, and the cost of living doesn't go down. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, why don't we, just to go easy on the person with the microphone, well, how about this table right here?
Thank you. I'd like to briefly address both of these. For the strategies to keep young people and bring new young people into our state, one of my recommendations would be more affordable housing, and also the implementation and continuing to implement programs such as AmeriCorps. I personally actually moved here from Delaware, which is my home state, 5 years ago through the AmeriCorps program, and I've been really fortunate that through that program I was able to obtain a full-time employment through Pace Career Academy, and I'm now the assistant director of that organization. But the AmeriCorps program, though the salary is not always desirable, it did give me the opportunity to get my foot in the door in a field of work that I was extremely interested in, and it did keep me here. My initial intent was to do 1 year in New Hampshire and then move back to my home state, but I've stayed up here because of the work and my passion for the work that our school is doing. So I think that if we can encourage more young people through that type of program and make it a relatively affordable place to live, I think that would be really helpful. And then our table discussed more thoroughly strategies to ensure that students are prepared. And that we decided this through mentoring relationships and through ways to get businesses and schools to work together. I believe that implementing it through curriculum in educational institutions is really important. We run social, emotional, and workplace readiness groups, so all of our students take part in those groups where we're learning them how to do proper handshakes with business people and others, and tie ties and iron shirts, and communicate with employers and advocate for themselves, and do resumes. And we are Pace Career Academy, so we have a big focus, and I understand that not all schools have the ability to do that. But we have a wonderful extended learning opportunities network in the state. So through pushing ELOs and other work-based learning opportunities, there are ways for other schools to implement that and to push that. And that's a really great way, because while the student is still in high school, if they're participating in that, there are people who are working at the school to build relationships with the workforce and hold the hands of our young people while they are building those skills and developing those skills to have appropriate relationships and build their skills to develop into young adults who are working in the workforce. So thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, why don't we, back here, go to that table. Do you have a secretary there that's?
So great, thanks. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. So, I mean, we talked about kind of a lot of different aspects. We did talk about some of the same barriers that have been discussed, kind of the cost of living in the state, cost of housing, cost of education, to stay in New Hampshire and be educated here. But we also talked about some of the skills that our students need to develop while they're still young that will make them successful, such as the ability to show up to work every day. I know that in our community we have heard that that is one of the challenges that they face. So we've tried to put policies in place that address that need, that actually expect our students to show up to school every day and hold them accountable for that. And that's a challenge in the competency-based system and how to kind of bring those worlds together. But it is something that we think is important for them to know that getting to work every day and being that reliable employee is obviously very important. We also talked about some of the challenges that come with apprenticeships and internships and age restrictions and how that sometimes can be a barrier. So looking at ways to overcome some of those issues is something that we want to be looking at how to address going forward.
Great, thank you. I think we have time for one more, and then we'll be moving on to the awards. So maybe we'll go. We already did. You folks have a report?
Hi, okay, so we are a small group of 3, but we answered the second question, identify 2 to 3 strategies that ensure students are prepared. One of the big things we touched upon are students. I'm from a high school, she's from SNU, so it's interesting to see like a K through 12 opinion and in higher education, but a lot of students are just not prepared for the workforce. It can be simple things as answering phones and those 21st century skills as to writing a resume. So I work at both national high schools, and I'm the only one in my position for both schools of 2,000 kids per school. So it's really hard to get into the classrooms and do a lot of these units. Soon I'll be just working at one of the high schools, and hopefully another one of me will be hired for the other one so I can get in and do a lot of those units. But we were talking, Kevin had a really good analogy, how home economics was a required course some years ago with those cooking skills and sewing skills and home skills, where we really need a class like that for career exploration and career readiness. And another strategy that we thought of was really breaking the stigma with CTE classes in those trades. I think we're well on our way to doing that, but there's a big struggle, working with guidance offices and those rates of having kids apply to colleges and those 4 universities and getting into so much debt, where if they go and apply for CTE courses at Nashua, we have 18 different CTE programs. There's several different pathways, and a lot of these kids have to realize that they're privileged to be in these classes and get these industry recognized credentials. An example is construction. The kids get OSHA, and our health sciences, they get their LNA by the time they graduate, which is a really big deal when you're in high school. So I think it's breaking that stigma as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we don't have time for any others, but I did just want to, we have one VIP just joined us, Joe Murray from Fidelity Investments. He's out of the snowbank. And so maybe we'll pass the hat around, get him a donation for some change for his tires or something like that for a Christmas present. Anyways, well, thank you very much. And now we'll turn it over to Scott, who will tee off the award ceremony, which is why we're all here. Thank you.
Thanks to Dave Pezzi and President Hewer for facilitating the discussions. I really appreciate that. So the final segment of our morning is to recognize some of our schools and businesses who have been nominated for the New Hampshire Scholars Champions Award. So as we reviewed all of the nominations, I must say they were all very good, and there are really some great work being done out there all across New Hampshire. For longer descriptions of each champion and why they were chosen, I encourage you to take a look at today's program in your folder. But really, what is a New Hampshire Scholars Champion? So a champion is a business or community leader who invests time and expertise to help raise educational attainment in our schools. As you've heard throughout this morning, champions come in many different forms: classroom presenters, motivational speakers, school advisory team members, student mentors, and activity sponsors. Others are engaged in hosting company tours, job shadowing, or internship opportunities. Businesses and schools can customize what works best, as you all know, and in their community to address the specific needs that their students have. So I'd like to invite two distinguished guests up to the stage. You met both of them already, who are both serve on the New Hampshire Scholars Board of Directors. So we have Christina Cuzzi, Senior Manager of Community Relations at Fidelity Investments, and Tom Raffio, President and CEO of Northeast Delta Dental, and co-founder of the New Hampshire Coalition for Business and Education. So when the winners are announced, please come up to the stage for your awards and photographs, and each winner will also receive personalized letters from Senator Hassan, Senator Shaheen, and Congresswoman Annie Custer. So I'll turn it over to Christina and Tom.
Thanks, Scott, and thanks, everybody. It's really my pleasure to be here, and I'm really proud to be here. This is really one of my favorite days of the year because I get to see educational champions, but also business champions. In addition, it allows us to continue to broaden those partnerships, which need to continue. I know some of you get to know each other, and I've heard a lot that this breakfast stimulated new partnerships. So it's great, and thank you, Scott, for allowing me to do this every year, knowing that it's my own board meeting and I have to race out after, but I would never miss it. Now for the first award this morning. This champion was nominated by Belmont High School and is the president of the Lakes Region Chamber of Commerce. Over the past 10 years, Carmen has committed herself in connecting students to businesses within the Lakes regions. She has helped develop the Lakes Region internship website, coordinates career fairs for both middle and high school students, and we've heard the importance of middle school, job fairs, business expos for the community, and the manufacturing expo. Belmont High School's Amy Burke says that Carmen is truly the go-to person of the Lakes region. She has a positive, can-do attitude in providing amazing experiences to students from all across the Lakes regions. Congratulations to Carmen Gifford of the Lakes Region Chamber of Commerce. Carmen.
Good morning, everyone. For our next award, we stay in the Lakes region. This champion was nominated by Interlakes High School and is the education coordinator at Lakes Regional Healthcare. Tracy has been a champion of the Greater Meredith Career Partnership Program for several years. She is the go-to person when a student is interested in a career within the medical field and wants to intern or job shadow at Lakes Region General Hospital. She works with students to ensure all their documents and screenings are complete. Working around the students' busy schedules, Tracy is known to be patient and resilient to provide access to this opportunity. Congratulations goes to the education coordinator at Lakes Region Healthcare, Tracy Miller. Tracy is under the weather today, so accepting the award on her behalf is Julie Belli.
Our next champion was nominated by Concord High School. Steve is a retired lawyer by profession. For almost 10 years, he has been engaged in many different programs at the school, including Be the Change Club and the Multicultural Club. He has participated in events such as the Youth Leadership Summit and International Night, and I've seen him at the Youth Leadership Summit. He has faithfully volunteered once a week to host conversation groups with the New American students at Concord High School to improve their English fluency. He is very patient and always greets the students with a smile. Steve is eager to learn from the students as they are from him. The students this morning who led us in the Pledge of Allegiance have worked directly with Steve and are excited to be here to see him recognized. Congratulations goes to Steve Scudder.
Our next champion award goes to the founding owner of the 401 Tavern in Hampton. Desi is a founding member of Winnicunnet's Community Advisory Board. Winnicunnett High School writes that Desi is an amazing advocate and champion of all students, but has a soft spot for students who struggle to connect with school. He is a true believer in work-based learning and giving students a chance to experience real life as early as possible to help them put their school experience in perspective. In less than a month, he single-handedly raised $4,000 for Winnicunnet's first ever ELO scholarships. Beyond the financial support, Desi has challenged the school to think more critically about how to connect with the community and help students experience real-life learning. Congratulations to Desi Lanio of the 401 Tavern.
Our next award, should not be a surprise to all of us, goes to a champion at Unitil. Mark is a longtime supporter of New Hampshire Scholars. Unitil is also the lead sponsor of the Granite State Challenge, a televised quiz bowl game show that airs in the New Hampshire Public Television. It's a really good show, too, by the way. Unitil first became involved with the Granite State Challenge when funding was cut and the show went off the air. Unitil jumped in to assist bringing back this long-running quiz show to give academically talented students a platform in which they too can receive the same accolades and recognition in the same manner as their athletic peers. And I've always said that we need more academic awards similar to athletic awards. They also provide scholarships via Unitil's STEM Scholarship Fund to students studying science, technology, engineering, and math fields. You going to add ours to that, Steve? Oh boy. Thank you. And deepened its role in the Appledore Island Shoals Marine Laboratories undergraduate internship program to engineering interns. Congratulations to Mark Lambert at Unitil.
Our next champion has led the charge in designing, developing, and deploying learning pathways and learning journeys at the Virtual Learning Academy Charter School. Scott led the expansion to include the Career Connections program, which brings industry professionals to the VLACs via virtual meetings or webinars for students to engage in a presentation, Q&A, or virtual tour. Scott has forged relationships with a number of industry partners who either participate as an outside expert for a job shadow or interview, or they participate as an organization hosting a student for a site visit or internship. Congratulations goes to Scott Prescott, Director of Instruction at the Virtual Learning Academy Charter School.
Just commenting on how much VLACs is so instrumental to the success of New Hampshire education, so thanks, Scott. Our next awardee is a champion of the Academy for Science and Design. Amy and her boundless energy can be seen all over the community, maintaining the level of visibility and connectedness that is critical to locating and securing opportunities for partnerships between ASD and businesses. As we've talked, that's so important. She is very active in the Nashua Chamber of Commerce, the Resilient Nashua Safety Committee, the Nashua Education Census Committee, and BAA First Robotics. All students at the Academy for Science and Design are required to complete an internship as part of their educational experience. Most internships encompass approximately 100 hours of employment. Wow. Amy works with students on mock interviews, reviewing a student's letter to a potential mentor, and helping develop resumes that will help them truly represent the talents and skills that they could bring to a potential internship. Congratulations goes to Amy Booley, Marketing and Communications Coordinator at the Academy for Science and Design.
Our next champion is the Vice President of Government Affairs at Comcast, Chris Hodgson. Comcast provides direct financial support to various programs such as UNH Manchester, Girls Inc., Boys and Girls Clubs, and Girl Scouts for Technology Education and STEM programs. Internet Essentials is Comcast's flagship community impact program designed to help close the digital divide. Comcast has connected more than 22,000 Granite Staters in need to low-cost, high-speed internet since 2011. Since 2011, Comcast has provided nearly 250 graduating high school students $340,000 in scholarship funds. And lastly, they conduct annual service projects via our Comcast Cares Day program at local schools. Congratulations to Chris Hodgson at Comcast. Here to accept the award is Rebecca Fracassa, Director of Community Investment.
Our next champion has been an active community member and parent in Wyndham High School for many years. He has contributed significantly to numerous clubs, and his engineering expertise and knowledge has continued to drive Wyndham High School teams over the past few years. Spencer has donated ample time and funding to the Wyndham High School AP Physics Varsity Physics program. Love to hear that. Spencer has served as one of the 5 sharks in Wyndham High School's Senior Engineering Capstone's Shark Tank event. Shark Tank judges chooses 5 senior inventions to promote, mentor, and fund. He has partnered with Wyndham High School health performance classes to teach students Taekwondo, something never before offered at Wyndham High School. That's awesome. Congratulations goes to the president of Intenesis, Spencer Webb. Spencer.
Our next champion has active partnerships with several workforce development programs in the state. Eversource employees have a long-standing participation in Leadership New Hampshire, which I'm a current student of right now, helping forge stronger and more informed leaders. The company has a highly successful partnership with Manchester Community College and the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers and continues to yield great results. They are supporting the first robotics competitions that encourage high school students to consider exciting careers in STEM. This fall, the Eversource Academy at Manchester Central High School was launched to support high school students as they develop a path towards a successful future. And a new partnership with UNH links industry-leading energy efficiency programs with the university's mission to be a leader in the environmental stewardship. The Champions Award goes to Eversource Energy. Accepting the award is Paulette Fagiano. Congratulations.
Our 11th, and I think our last award winner, last but not least, is a longtime supporter of New Hampshire Scholars and NHCUC. They've been involved with New Hampshire Scholars Day for many years and a major contributor to the healthcare workforce discussion. Dartmouth Hitchcock is heavily engaged with workforce development projects, including experiential days for high school students and paid summer internships for high school and undergraduate students, as we've heard. Dartmouth Hitchcock is also engaged in external affairs involving mental health talks in schools under the leadership of John Broderick. You've already heard about the internship program with institutions such as Colby Sawyer College, directly preparing students for careers in nursing and other healthcare fields. Congratulations goes to Dartmouth Hitchcock. Accepting the award is Marion Aldrich, a nurse and former Delta Dental Clinic New Hampshire board member, and William Landry. Come on up. Okay, you can see how compelling and inspirational this is should be for all of us, so thank you. So I'm going to now turn it over to Scott and Dr. Debbie for the final words. And again, thank you for your active participation today, and I know Scott takes the notes that you heard and definitely incorporates this into his work plan. So Scott and Dr. Debbie.
Short, you always have to pull his nose. Well, good morning. I'm Debbie Scarry. I'm president of the New Hampshire College and University Council, and I want to thank everyone, add my thanks, for coming today to making this breakfast a success and the program a success as well. From all of you attending and to our guest speakers, and of course, congratulations to our outstanding award winners, very inspirational stories. Thank you again to our college presidents who joined us this morning. The leadership of NHCUC, of course, for this program is super important. And as President Perkins mentioned earlier, events like this are not possible without the support of our corporate sponsors. I'd like to again thank the Department of Education for the support of our statewide initiative. Commissioner Edelblut, thank you very much. And also want to thank our business partners again for underwriting this event. Unitil, thank you, Mark. And thank you to the rest of our very important sponsors again. Fidelity, Eversource, Comcast, Dartmouth Hitchcock, Northeast Delta Dental, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, Goldman Sachs, and the NEPA Network. New Hampshire Scholar Program plays an important role in our goal of promoting, our statewide goal of promoting college readiness and workforce development. It starts, as we talked about, in the middle school, as we plant the seed with students about career exploration and course planning. And in high school, again, those connections with students to colleges and business mentors are incredibly important. And hopefully, as we've all talked about today, these students do stay in New Hampshire for higher education, and we're able to further strengthen their network with local businesses. And then it finally comes full circle when companies, our New Hampshire companies, look to hire our graduates, like the ones that go through the New Hampshire State Scholars Program. These are our future employees, and we need help from businesses like yourselves, not only to champion projects like the ones nominated here this morning, but to help fund various events for our students. We're asking for your commitment today to develop the future workforce. Please consider being a sponsor if you aren't one already. There's information on your table regarding these opportunities, and we have various partnerships and sponsorships opportunities we'd like to talk with you about. Before leaving this morning, for those schools who nominated champions, please connect with our photographer guild to capture photos with your award winners. It was inspiring to share this morning with you and recognize the great work you have done in your respective communities. And one other note too is please save the date of April the 15th for our annual Higher Ed Summit that's going to be held in Concord. And for those of you, finally, for those of you here today who may not have yet had the opportunity to engage with state scholars, I'd like to personally invite you to come and talk with Scott and I. We'd love an opportunity to tell you a little bit more about our program and to see the extent to which we could work together. Thank you all for enjoying this morning, and please enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.